I'm Chris.
And I'm Carter.
It's January 11th, 2018, podcast number 5, recording live from the Israeli moon base. This is Idiocracy Now. Hello, my Americans.
Hey, number 5.
Yeah, number 5. We're getting up there. And Tim has a microphone. Say hi, Tim.
Hello.
Stop talking.
That's enough.
I'm just kidding. He'll chime in from time to time. If it's worth a Google, let us know what's going on. He's really smart. He's helped us put this podcast together.
Yeah, it's been a big help. We've had a lot to put together today.
Yeah, we've been here for hours. This is like a real job.
Yeah, we built this whole studio last week.
Yeah, well, actually, we built the moon.
The moon.
We're on the moon right now. Later, we're going to teleport to a studio somewhere in America.
Sorry, I forget where I am sometimes. I've been smoking a little bit.
You're all over the place, man. Figuratively and literally and all the above. So let's talk about what's been going on, man. I'm on Twitter.
We're all on Twitter. Idiocracy Now is on Twitter, and we've been tweeting up a storm.
Yeah, we had a tweet that got a little bit of recognition. One about Denzel Washington. And I realized he was sitting down during the Oprah speech or sitting down during the standing ovations. And he sort of had his head connected to his hand and his hand connected to the table. And he was very, very unimpressed.
Yeah, that one got a lot of shares and things like that. It's surprising how into celebrity. It's not surprising at all, actually, but people really like celebrity news and celebrity stuff. And you discover that yourself just watching TV, and you notice that Denzel was not into it or something.
Yeah, well, everything that gets a lot of hype, I like to break down, and I've always done that. I remember when I met, like when I got my house, and I would have things paused on my DVR. I'd be like, "Look what CNN did right there. Look what they did right there." But yeah, I paused it when the shot was behind her. And I just wanted to see who was in the audience. And and that's when I found Denzel, dead center, unimpressed. And I wonder what the background with that is. I don't know. I'm going to do some more research this week and see what his views are. I do know he was asked who he voted for, and he straight up said, "It's none of your business."
I don't think he voted for Hillary.
No, but still, that's a grown man answer,
which is rare in a celebrity these days. You know, he seems like he has his own brain at least.
Yeah, it's obvious who he voted for, but still, that's some grown man shit. It's none of your business.
Another thing I saw in the tweets was Seal, the singer, he said something against Oprah. That was kind of another thing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures of Oprah with Hillary Clinton and Harvey Weinstein.
That's what he mentioned. Seal was talking about how her and Harvey Weinstein used to hang out. I think I was listening to Alex Jones' show, and they were talking about how somewhere there's a picture or something of Oprah with her tongue in Harvey's ear. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that's disgusting. He got slapped at a restaurant. A fan or a patron at the restaurant was sitting down and having a meal and asked for a photo with him, and he brushed him off. And so as the guy was leaving, he sort of like gave him a backhanded slap, like really lightly on the face, like something my mom would do.
So it was a dude that slapped him?
Yeah. Well, it's questionable. A slap like that. I mean, if you watch it.
I was almost sympathetic of Harvey when I read that story. I don't know why. I was just like, someone was so proud of themselves for slapping him, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Well, he kind of deserves it. I mean, it was humiliating.
Oh, for sure.
It didn't hurt him. He wasn't physically hurt, but he was humiliated, and it's on camera, which makes it even better.
Oh yeah, they must have been like, "Hey, turn your camera on. I'm gonna go slap Harvey Weinstein."
No, that's exactly what happened. He had his buddy film it, and he goes, "You better fire up the camera on that phone and watch what's about to happen." And then he just went and backhanded Harvey Weinstein, and he was with his sober coach.
I feel better about that. I was thinking it was somebody trying to, like, almost like a protest,
Mhm.
type of slap, but that they felt really proud of themselves for slapping him, even though there's so many people that deserve
Oh,
deserve a slap, you know? "Oh, there's the tongue in the ear. Oh,
yeah, you
great."
know what that is? That's just, I believe that's lipstick worn off on the inner lip. That's what I believe that is. Because when women put lipstick on, they do that finger trick, where they
I
put it
think
in
you're
their
right.
mouth and pull it out. Everything's not what it seems. I mean, if I'm looking at it objectively, I'm looking at it like that.
I think you're right. It's kind of like the same thing when Alex Jones they brought up Hillary Clinton having an earpiece at one of the
Yeah.
debates. If you look at it, I think that was just a reflection off of like her shiny inner
Yeah.
earwax
I'm
ear.
no, I'm no I'll go my own way. Like, I'm not just gonna be like, "Oh my god, there it is." I'm like, "Well, I gotta look up things objectively."
We definitely do that here. That's the plan anyway. We're doing our own thing here.
Yeah, if you put me on, yeah, that's definitely it. Well, speaking of that, with Twitter, we have, something that I think I bit off way more than I can chew. First of all, I'm not too versed in the Twitter to,
You just started like 6 days ago, didn't you?
yeah, just 6 days ago, but I just, I think it's a good thing to mention some of our Twitter followers because honestly, I'm not a social media person, and I don't know if I'm gonna take this personally or not, but I appreciate the people that follow us, and, I know it doesn't mean a lot to most people, but, it's going to mean a lot to us. So we're gonna pick as many Twitter followers as we can and
Within reason.
yeah, and talk about them as much as I can. I don't know how to learn about people besides, just, uh, basically looking them up and seeing what they tweet.
There's a wide variety of people out on the internet with lots of interesting things they're doing and saying.
Yeah, I found, so this one, girl on Twitter, I shouldn't speculate. It's CW Copacetic Cindy, Copacetic_Cindy, and, she was asking about a green light that was over somebody in the audience, and I'd just like to tell her it was, my grow room reflecting off my television, uh, in the
I
background.
saw that too. I wondered if it was some laser
Yeah,
beam coming down from the ceiling or something.
I, uh, I specifically left it in there just to see if anybody would, like, uh, snoop that shit out, like, do some magnifying and see
I
what was in
I
the
had a
background.
I had a question about
But
the arrow. Was the arrow,
the
lipstick or something?
no, it's on the iPad Pro that I bought for this podcast to record and do some jingles on. It's, a little, program in there, and I just wanted to highlight that he was sitting down. And I'm surprised that tweet got the most attention because I clearly thought the other one was a better picture, but I guess the caption, didn't have Denzel Washington in it. I think it just had Denzel be like hashtag #Nopra, and I think, "Oh, that'll catch on," before the other one. I thought the other one was just like an afterthought, but no, I guess it just matters on who picks it up and sends it on its way, with a retweet.
I feel like if Oprah runs, she'll go straight to the top. There won't even need to be a reason for, like, a primary or anything. That's just my opinion, and there would be an all-out brawl between her and Donald Trump of pure
Oh my
idiocracy.
god.
It's gonna be great. I really hope it
I wonder if
happens.
there's gonna be any, the white people on the Democratic side in 2020.
Well, last time it was just Bernie Sanders and Hillary pretty
No,
much, was
no, no, no.
not right at the beginning, but
There was the 2 other ones. The one oh god.
so
The no-namers, I guess.
the
Yeah,
guy from Ohio, I
so you're
think,
right, yeah. Yeah.
here just so people, if they're watching us on YouTube or whatever, I'm gonna send out our Twitter address here.
You sh
Tweet edits at Idiocracy Now at Idiocracy Now. 1.
leave a negative comment or a positive comment.
Or just retweet.
Just please talk to us.
Yeah, we were getting a little bit lonely on the internet. I'm like,
Not
"What?
really.
You're taking your shirt off and we only have a few views. Come on."
Oh, yeah. No, but yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
I'm spectacular.
It's only
Spectacularly
just
fat.
begun. It's only just begun.
So, what you want to do next? You wanna get into some clips? Oh, so copacetic Cindy. She's also a fellow conspiracy theorist.
Awesome. Awesome.
She's got a lot of cool shit on her Twitter. A lot of shit that we need to like and retweet for her. Not that it will make you famous or anything. And if you have anything you like to like us to talk about, we'll talk about you next week too. We don't know what you like. We want to like like we said, be put their cause out there. What do they want?
Sure.
What do they want the world to know?
And anything that you want us to add to the show, we're always looking for input.
Yeah, there's another guy, Weedman45482
I saw him.
126. Collection of weed memes, art, and whatever else he wants. Cause you know why? Fuck you.
He's the weed man. He can do whatever he wants.
That's why. Yeah, so follow him and like him. You guys should be friends and co-follow each other. I'm glad to be part. I'm such an introvert and recluse. It's kind of weird to be in a community, but I kind of like it.
I had a Twitter before, and this is the only one that I'm actually getting a whole lot of interest from my side. I'm really interested in who's following us, and I've been checking out a lot of different people. Who else do we have? We're doing 10, aren't we?
I got to 2.
You got to 2? Okay. We'll do the other 8 in the next show, or we'll do whatever it takes.
Well, yeah, it's like we're short. I don't want to bitch online, but
I'm 5'5". It's average
no,
around
no.
the globe if you count all the Asians.
We're short. We're short on I guess
manpower
and equipment. I would like I guess the only thing I have Twitter on is the iPad, and it's over there filming us.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So I would like to go through it, but I'm not.
Your computer's all locked up with show stuff.
Yeah.
Same with this one, actually. I'd be tempted to go on the internet, but then this program might crash, so I'm not going to.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some clips. Have you seen anything that you want to touch on first?
Let's see here. I saw a news story anyway that looks like you saw it too. I saw it on Boing Boing. You saw it somewhere else.
What is it? Boing Boing?
Boing Boing. Boing Boing.
BOING?
BO. Yeah.
Boing?
Boing Boing.
I'm taking off like Boeing on a big ass Boeing, getting head like a coin toss.
It's a great name. They just that up. It's a whole bunch of different stuff. A lot of things about gadgets and things. But this news story was about how ibuprofen can cause a shrinkage of the testicles. And I was alarmed at the low dosage that it took before they noticed like a.
Yeah, I got that right here.
Yeah, but you want to bring up this actual story? We could read from it, but
yeah, bring it up.
It's shocking. That's a bad side effect to have at such a low dosage. And they had a decent cohort, which is like a group of people testing it larger than like I don't know. I could see. I think when I was testing drugs, our cohorts were about 10 people at a time.
Yeah,
and they would do 3 or 4 of them. They would up the dose every time. They'd bring in 10 more people and then give them a higher dose. And if they were all right, they'd bring in 10 more and then bring up a.
One time, I put 2 Viagra in Timmy's beer on New Year's Eve.
Really?
And Timmy or in Katie and Brian's basement. And then I had a whole bunch of jokes set up. I was like, man, it sure is hard to keep time around here. I was like, man, I got a stiff neck. And I watched him for 2 hours, but he just got drunk and passed out. No boners. And I really was. I told you halfway through. You probably don't remember. It was 9 years ago. It was 9 years ago because I had my baby mama with me, and that's how old my son is. So yeah, I tried to poison Timmy.
I've roofied one of my friends before, but we had like an agreement that it was okay to do. We could either use acid.
What? Okay, was it? It was as a sneak attack?
Yeah, we were at the bar together, and
dude, that's a funny, man. That's hilarious, man. You're just driving home and crash, but like you're getting real tired, but like Carter,
no,
got me again. Honk honk.
We both lived above bars in town there, and there was nowhere to drive, so it was all good. Yeah, just a little bit of.
He dies of exposure on a walk home. Like I got you, fucker.
He had to walk like literally like 5 feet away from the front door of the bar.
One time I came home to my apartment above a bar that I lived in and seen one of my friends passed out. I thought he was drunk. Later, I found out he had a bad heroin problem. Later, died of an overdose. Way to get negative.
That tends to happen with that
Oh
heroin.
yeah, that shit's crazy. I did.
But no, it wasn't like the date rape drug. Well, it kind of was. It was a Xanax. I just dropped in his beer. Then about 10 minutes after he drank it, I told him, and he laughed.
Ooh, when I got off of alcohol and somebody gave me some Xanax and I really liked them and I said I'll buy all those that you have, and if you find more, bring those to me. And I gave some of those to a friend of mine, and I'm like, only take a half a bar, and that will fuck you up. And he's like, no, I'm an OG. Takes a whole bar, goes on a date, ends up falling down in the girl's front yard.
Probably like his first date.
No, it was a first date. He walking up to her house, fell down in her front yard, and found it hard to get up, and was passed out at the restaurant. It was a bad ordeal. But yeah.
So it's like, let me try to read some of this article about ibuprofen. It says a small cohort of 31 healthy young men took 600 milligrams of ibuprofen twice a day for 6 weeks, and they developed compensated hypogonadism, which is in parentheses little balls.
That's the title of the show. It's compensated hypogonadism.
And that's basically all I need to read
But that's temporary, I heard.
It's yeah, okay, that is important. Yeah, that's temporary.
But if you take it over a long period of time, it is not so temporary. So if that's like your main thing,
yeah, why would you take it for 6 weeks straight? I mean,
some people take it every day.
Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys are idiots.
So don't take it every day because your balls will shrink.
Don't take ibuprofen, period.
It'll give you a stroke.
Smoke some weed, man.
There you
Smoke
go.
some weed.
Smoke some weed. Eat some weed.
Yeah. Dude, that's what we need to do. Let's go. The Church of What's Happening Now. That's the podcast of the week.
Podcast of the week. We're doing podcast of the weeks now.
I just did it.
/ YouTube channel.
I just did it. So whatever their YouTube channel is, the Church of What's Happening Now with Joey Diaz.
Great. It's a great show.
It is. And they have such a beautiful chemistry. You know, the older man, and he's sort of like Jabba the Hutt. He's just sitting there and just a big blob, and the other guy's just a little guy, and he's so fucking high. He's just this guy. This is so giggly.
Lee Syatt is like the sidekick. I don't even know what he looks like, but he just sounds like a little, little guy hanging out with Joey, who gives him tons and tons of edibles.
I say
way too many.
Every one podcast a month, we must do it high as fuck. The high as fuck podcast.
I'm down with that.
And we won't tell people.
It might happen accidentally sometimes too.
Yeah. All right, I want to get into some stuff.
All right, let's go on. Continue.
I think I want to talk about like how reports on YouTube, I mean, they probably shouldn't be the best, but they can be of better quality of what they are. I just find them very, very vague lately.
Homemade?
Very vague.
Like homemade reports or?
No, big. These I pull off the, YouTube has a news thing that you can subscribe to. Shit. Sorry. And, so it's all from like CNN and stuff like that. This one's from Time Magazine. I'm going to play it. It's very, very vague.
The journalist, who works for the college sports website Rivals and covers Texas A&M University football, was last seen Sunday afternoon, according to police, walking around the Galleria area in uptown Houston. Houston police tweeted Monday morning that Roland had been found in the same area, unharmed, and will be taken to a hospital for evaluation. According to KPRC-TV, Roland's roommate received a text Saturday in which Roland said she was being followed by a suspicious man at a Walgreens, who then followed her home in a blue truck and parked behind her before speeding off after she exited her vehicle. KHOU reported that police found Roland's wallet, phone, purse, and car early Monday in the same area she was found.
Does that seem vague? The end of that? So the guy followed her pulled up behind her. She got out of the vehicle, and he sped off, leaving her at her house. And then they jumped to police found her and her vehicle and her wallet.
They didn't finish the story.
It's just vague as hell.
I guess so. I mean, there was some details. To be honest, I was trying to figure out why that was so quiet, and I wasn't paying attention.
All right, let me replay it.
Same area, unharmed, and will be taken to a hospital for evaluation. According to KPRC-TV, Roland's roommate received a text Saturday in which Roland said she was being followed by a suspicious man at a Walgreens, who then followed her home in a blue truck and parked behind her before speeding off after she exited her vehicle. KHOU reported that police found Roland's wallet, phone, purse, and car early Monday in the same area she was found.
So this bitch was just
area,
out
yeah.
walking around, and her car was where she was at. I don't know. I'm confused.
I am confused. I don't understand what the blue truck had to do with her purse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Good job.
Thanks. I try.
No, I mean Time Magazine. Those guys are assholes. All right. The lawmaker. There was a lawmaker. By the way, Chris Como, he just annoys the shit out of me. I don't know why.
Look at his face. I could see he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that you would get along with very well.
We tweeted another one. One of our tweets was CNN does racism equal views, and they sure seem to think so. And then I recorded him saying duh, 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 duh. It was beautiful. All right, I'm gonna play this. Then I got some stories to tell.
This Kansas state lawmaker was in this town meeting arguing about whether or not to legalize marijuana. Okay, and one of his reasons for being against the legalization was this. Listen carefully. Tape's not great.
What you really need to do is go back in the 30s and where they outlawed all type of drugs in Kansas across the United States. What was the reason why they did that? One of the reasons why, I hate to say it, it's the African Americans. They were basically users, and they basically responded the worst of those drugs just because their makeup, their genetics.
Their genetic makeup.
That is Republican State Representative Steve Alford in a public meeting. And yes, he just said African Americans had the worst response to marijuana as a function of their character and makeup. He then issued a statement saying he was wrong, and sincerely apologized to anyone he hurt. Why do we play this? Because racism and ignorant thoughts about race don't always exist in the loudness of the KKK or people carrying banners and saying things that are obnoxious and voluble. It's often...
Okay, I hate to be the guy that yells at the cop for like giving him a ticket. Like, why don't you go, arrest a rapist or a crack dealer? But doesn't CNN have anything fucking better to do? Some things just don't belong on national television. We don't need to know about every single racist person out there. It furthers the divide. The extremes of our culture are not the norms.
I agree, but on this one, this guy was like a lawmaker doing a speech, so they just had to like slam him and destroy his career. And I think that guy, that the lawmaker he's a fucking asshole, dude. It's the same reason weed was illegal in 1930 is because people just started spouting shit like that. It's totally bullshit.
I get that. What I'm mad at is it's put on my news feed. I don't want to know about every single racist person out there.
Well, okay, what if you lived in Kansas? Would that make more sense to you?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, we don't live in Kansas, but
no, not anymore.
But yeah, I mean, if they find anything racist like that, it's going on the mainstream. If they find anything, man, it's gonna be on there.
My girlfriend has a Facebook, and she loves dogs and takes pictures of her dogs all the time, and probably puts those on Facebook. So she gets every single dog story that there is. So once a day, she'll be like, "Oh, did you hear about this dog that was frozen to a porch? Or you hear about this dog that was found hanging in a park? You hear about this dog that they cut in half for drugs?" I'm like, "You're," and she's crying. She cries once a day.
Oh no, that's
For-
not healthy.
It's not healthy. And what I tell her is, you are not supposed to know about every single bad thing that happens to every single dog. It's not good for you. This is not good for our society.
no,
it's not good for our culture.
In general, I've been watching a lot of CNN lately because it comes in on my Sling TV, and it's like that and Bloomberg News. And it's been a while since I've listened to the news this much, but it is kind of depressing, and it kind of makes me angry. And I'm thinking it's not healthy to consume this shit all the time.
Bring up Morgan Freeman and Don Lemon talk about race. Yeah, if just like with rape, you're not supposed to know about every single. Rape's really big now. Somebody's like, you don't think more rapes are happening? I was like, I don't know, but I know more people know about rapes because of the internet now. You know about every single rape there is. So therefore, that's why kids aren't allowed to go a block away from their house, because somebody's gonna fuck your kid.
They do like to put a lot of bad things in the news, and it's that is what
fear.
A lot of fear. There's a ton of fear. Exactly. And I'm noticing this now that I've been watching a little bit more. I get that energy or that vibe, man. That's like if I watch it for a little while, and then I compared to days when I don't watch it, there's a big difference for me anyway. I feel like I'm sensitive to all this stuff, but what I also noticed too, at least on CNN, is they really are repeating the same story every hour with a different host. That's what it seemed like to me anyway.
Morgan Freeman and Don Lemon. Morgan Freeman and the overnight legend Don Lemon Lime. They're talking, and he's like, "So how do you suppose we get rid of racists and stuff?" He's like, "Just stop talking about it."
Oh, on Don Lemon last night, I saw a thing at the very end of his show. Let me mention this right before you play that. He was interviewing a college professor who was teaching a class called White Racism.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he was just they were both defending the fact that there's a class called White Racism, and they talked more about how you can't be racist if you're not white, that you can be racially prejudiced, but you can't be racist unless you're white. Which is not racist at all, supposedly, to say shit like that. Or have classes that are about only white people being racist.
Yeah, I'm not a very smart man, but I believe I was in a shelter with my mom and my sister one time, and we were the only white family in the shelter, and I had to been like 6 or something like that. Greeted at the door while my mom was like talking with the people and filling out paperwork, a black kid named Bo, and I'll remember him for the rest of my life. He comes up to me, and he was huge. He was like 7 or 8. He squeezed my hand. He goes, "Does that hurt?" And I looked him right in the eye. I said, "No, it doesn't." He goes, "I don't like you because you're white." And I was like, "Yeah? Well, I think you look like a scuba diver." And then that was it. I call him a scuba diver.
I think he told me about that before. Yeah.
And that was my first experience with racism. Is getting racially hated on in a
not
shelter.
only hated, but like just having your hand squeezed until he thinks it hurts. Like, it's just a little asshole, man. The world is full of little people trying to inflict pain on other people.
Kids do that all the time.
They
too.
do. They really do.
They pinch you, and then they look at you in your face while they're pinching you to see, like, does it hurt them?
There's some little kids, man.
All right. Let's talk about. Have you heard about this TP? What is it? The TPS thing, the temporary protection thing.
No.
The Salvadorians.
Oh yeah.
Here's a little clip on that. This is I forgot why I put this in here, but I guess I'll start bitching once I hear.
When he was 15, José Hércules began his journey to the U.S. with just one objective.
Siempre con la meta de trabajar.
That's what it is. He looks 40 years old. He's been here since he was 15, and he can't speak the language. I'm just saying. And he owns a business.
The goal was always to work. I hadn't even thought about studying, just working.
Bueno, me tocó trabajar.
Hércules arrived alone and undocumented. After some odd jobs, he found his passion in gardening, gained a work permit through TPS, and worked his way up the economic ladder. Today, he has a business of his own, including 2 full-time employees that allows him to provide for his wife, a Salvadoran American, and his 2 U.S.-born boys, ages 12 and 3. But the program that allowed him and nearly 200,000 Salvadoran nationals to live and work legally in the country since 2001 has an uncertain future. Hércules understands the risks of having to start over again.
It sounds like he really loves this country, and he likes.
I'm sure he likes. Yeah,
he likes the money that he gets from his business. Wonder if
Did you see that neighborhood he was working in? That was a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with immigrants at all. My dad's an immigrant. All I have a problem with is him not speaking English. That's it. Am I bad? Look at me objectively. Huh? Talk like a social justice warrior. I don't like that he doesn't speak English. What say you?
Okay, I'm going to put on my social justice warrior hat.
Come on, do it.
I've been to college.
Yeah, I haven't. So
That's racist.
How is that racist?
Because you want him to speak English.
Well, everybody does.
But he doesn't. I don't know.
He doesn't have to.
I got nothing. I tend to agree with you. If you're here that long, English is so. I hear English isn't that hard to learn. Not that I'm an expert at it myself, but
yeah,
it might help his business too.
What does TPS stand for? It's worth a Google. Hit that jingle, Carter.
You can Google it.
Oh, that's different.
For some reason, there's like 2 buttons are working at once for no reason, actually. Computers be crazy.
So TPS is the temporary protected status.
Okay, that's like the deferment. The word deferment means that it's temporary.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I everybody that is upset about this is acting like it wasn't a temporary deferment, you know?
Yeah.
When the agreement was whenever this first started was that this is just temporary and eventually you'll probably have to go back to your country. I bounce back and forth between this issue. Like, ideally, I would prefer, like, in a perfect world, that we wouldn't have any borders as far as, like, anybody could travel anywhere they want to, because borders are kind of imaginary. Like, it's a pain in the ass when you have to, like, go to an airport and have people with guns come and say, hey, show me your papers. And you're like, you know, I'm just a person and I just want to go over there. Why can't I go over there?
Because the laws are different.
But, and then
you need to be accountable for your time there.
Yeah, but I just feel like it sometimes, like, part of me feels like that it's like a prison system, you know, where you're just like going from prison to prison.
I guess it kind of is, yeah.
And then another part of me realizes that
you want to go visit the pigs in the other slaughtering house? Well, make sure you got your information.
And then the other part of it is that
what you here for, boy?
Is the whole thing of being able to protect yourself from other people in the world. And
how come El Salvador doesn't call up, be like, you know what? Yeah, shit was fucked up back then, but shit's good now. Come on back. We got some stuff for you.
It might not be good now.
Bring your
probably isn't.
It might not be.
The other thing too is just like,
as an American and coming from people that fought to the death for the land that they stole and love.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure. Yeah. It's
why.
That's a thing.
I don't know. Why do you want to come here? And
I would want to come here. Plus, they don't understand what it is when they get here. They think it's different than it actually is.
And he's probably proud of his El Salvador. Say that for me.
El Salvadorian.
El Salvadorian.
Salvador.
El
Yeah.
Salvadorian.
El
Oh,
Salvadorian
Mike sounds good.
heritage. So, yeah, it's like Marcus Aurelius said, "Oh, do you love this? Do you love that? Oh, it's worth fighting for." You know? I don't know. That's how I look about other people. They're like, "Oh, shit's rough over there." Well, stay there and fix it. Well, I can't. I'll get killed. Then die for your country. I don't know. I'm not moving to Canada or Mexico if shit gets rough here. I'm gonna dig in.
Me neither. I would too.
I'm fucking dug in. I'm dug in, and shit's not even popping off. I'm dug in.
I love to travel, but I don't think I could
Yeah.
get rid of my roots.
I couldn't.
But I wanted to finish that thought about.
I'm at my mama's house in a wig, living next door to her, cutting a hole in the wall. Hi, Mom. Pass me a plate.
I wanted to finish my thought on.
Yeah, go ahead. Then I got this video that I want to play.
Okay, just-
Surprise video.
Just about how I don't like the borders for the police state reason, that it's like a police world where everybody's got guns and tells you where you can and cannot go, because I want everybody to be free.
Yeah.
But the other side of that
Global
too is
citizen, bro.
if you let people come in and then the government steals your resources from you to give to these other people, that's not cool either. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, in certain cases, I mean, he might be paying, but see, like I didn't have a problem with that guy here. I just had the problem with him talking. And here's an interesting video on YouTube I found by 1791L. I really like this guy's stuff, and it's about what we're talking about, and he can put it more eloquently than I can, at least.
Hooray!
And yeah. Please pause while I experience retardation.
Their position on immigration seems to be reduced to a thoughtless binary, where the border should be little more than a ceremonial line in the sand, or it exists for a reason, which is a racist Republican play to see an entire people needlessly suffer. But blinded by their emotional impulsiveness, many who are so vocally opposed to the wall completely dismiss the negative outgrowths of their position. It should go without saying there are very legitimate concerns we must take into account when talking about the effects of uncontrolled immigration on the United States. All of these concerns themselves are worthy of extensive discussion in their own right. But in this video, we'll focus just on one thing: the stated objectives of those who make the case for unchecked empathy. In order to get a holistic view of this issue, we must look at the history of Mexico, one littered with bloodshed and corruption, which is a legacy that stretches well into today. It is a country whose military routinely engages in armed incursions on our border, which often result in violent clashes. Why anyone would want to escape the impoverished misery that strangles Mexico is beyond understandable. It makes it all the more understandable when you realize that its northern neighbor is one of the most prosperous countries the world has ever seen, with a growing economy to boot. It should be obvious that simplistic thought voids, like amnesty and open border migration, not only fails to solve the central problem, but makes it much worse. We have to look at why Mexico finds itself in the hellish conditions it does. While there's no easy answer to that question, part of it has much to do with the fact that it is at the mercy of a government with a deeply vested interest in maintaining the status quo. Its president, Enrique Peña Nieto, has a 12% approval rating in Mexico, making him less popular than even US President Donald Trump. The Atlantic explains, accused for decades of politically slanted news coverage, Televisa represents another rarely spoken fact. Modern Mexico has never functioned without corruption, and its current system would either collapse or change beyond recognition if it tried to do so. This harsh truth was written about the all-encompassing influence the largest Spanish-speaking television network in the world has on the Mexican government. The lower classes of Mexico are largely deprived of access to the internet and don't read newspapers. This allowed the media to strike up a deal with the Institutional Revolutionary Party that thrust its chosen candidate to the presidency. That candidate was Enrique Peña Nieto. Protests were sparked about this corrupt marriage, but eventually fizzled out. While most Mexicans have a sense that things aren't the way they should be, they are deliberately kept in the dark by media networks that conspire with their very government. It's this collusion which keeps them shackled to their dreadful conditions, largely unaware of its source. They're not the only ones unaware. Their American self-styled advocates have preferred to stand on sanctimony over their plight without considering the structural problems in Mexico itself. What results are protests in favor of band-aids like DACA and mindless oppositions to the wall that both not only fall short of actually cauterizing the wounds, but deepen them. Due to the increasing disfavor Mexicans hold their government to, it makes perfect sense that its ruling class would shudder at what a border wall would entail. They would no longer be able to siphon off their systematically impoverished and oppressed to the United States, essentially allowing a sustainable and much-needed uprising to finally happen. A strong American border means that the Mexican government would actually be forced to respond to their disastrously low rate of approval and unacceptable collusion with nefarious groups like media networks and even cartels.
Fight for your country.
Where repressed people have nowhere to turn, they will rightfully claim their rights from the institutions that are denying them. One of Trump's most loud and profane detractors is former Mexican President Vicente Fox. Fox was a populist maverick in his own right, who ran on a platform of ending the corrupt 70-plus year rule of the Institutional Revolutionary Party, the same party that colluded with Televisa to thrust Nieto to the presidency. Even while Fox styled himself as a humble, honest ranch hand, he was caught up in no shortage of corruption scandals of his own. Fox can be seen as a case study in why the Mexican establishment views the idea of a secure American border with such anger. It threatens the sustainability of the scheme its ruling classes have used against its people for decades. In light of just how rotten the core of Mexican public life is, it stands to reason that a border would pose an existential threat to this system of oppression. Those most willing to effect change are the lowest classes, who have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yep.
To excuse the murderous state of affairs in their country, Mexican officials such as former President Felipe Calderon often complain that they neighbor the world's largest consumer of drugs and its largest supplier of guns. This is true. Perhaps even more importantly than the matter of illegal immigration, doesn't it make sense to obstruct the flow of each of these vices? The reason the wall is held with such scorn by most Democrats is how heartless they believe it is toward the struggle of those who make the perilous journey to this country. But what good does it do the Mexicans still trapped in their violence and poverty-plagued country if we only scrape a few of them off the top while their countrymen suffer at home? As a country abundant in resources, the only reason it would be subject to the destitution that it is would be that there are deeply rooted interests in keeping it that way. Those who are driven by humanitarian concerns to oppose the wall ought to consider the long-term fruits it could and would bear for even and especially the Mexican people. Stopping the Mexican ruling class from releasing the pressure of an irate underclass by exporting them to its prosperous neighbor is the only tangible way to effect lasting change. Anything less merely ensures the continued suffering of those Democrats are supposedly driven to help.
What'd you think about that?
I tend to agree, but at the yeah, in a way, he's saying that they
close it off and let it fester.
Close it off, let it fester into a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
But
until they get their shit right.
That shit might not ever happen, and it's not necessarily better for the Mexican people.
Well, it's not going to happen as long as there's this like release valve.
It's not necessarily our responsibility, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, the release valve that makes a lot of sense. You know, a lot of desperate people and criminals come up here.
There's a lot of people that had just had enough, and they come through the release valve. They don't sit there and they're never gonna have a
It's the same with a lot of those Middle Eastern countries. You know, we're maybe not so much us, but Europe's getting a lot of their people as almost like a release valve for more war, I guess. I don't know. They do need some reform in Mexico, but like they said, the corruption is like institutional there. When that happens, I think it takes a long time or something really dramatic to change that.
All right,
shit's gonna be fucked up. That's my bottom point, I guess.
Yeah, nothing against immigration, ever. I don't care. Like I like the difference in people and the changes of flavors. I'm also a proponent for I'm glad that there is racists on both sides. So like in the future, we can still see different races. I don't want everybody to be one color. I mean, that's probably what it's going to be, but I enjoy different cultures and stuff like that. But yeah.
How dare you?
Fester and fight.
So close off your prison wall.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they can't get out until they fight it out and get rid of the assholes that are in charge.
Yeah.
That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah.
It happens. It's an interesting theory.
Yeah, so 1791L. He does a lot of in-depth in-depth stuff, and it's pretty cool. House passes controversial bill, controversial surveillance bill, and you know more about this than I do.
This
And
is going to get me as upset as last week with Sessions.
and the reason why I brought this up is because of the vagueness of it, and they don't really describe like what's in the bill. They describe it as like FISA 702, and then they just immediately get into what the really important news is, and that's what people are tweeting about it.
So this was a bill that was supposed to expire,
Yeah.
or was set to expire,
Okay.
and it allows the NSA to access everyone's data from like corporations like Google and all the big telecoms. And if that had expired, they would suddenly need to get a warrant to spy on individual people, I think. But this also, as far as I know, this also included a thing where now they can also use not just Google and the telecoms, but they can spy on you in one other horrible way. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was expanded to basically the NSA can watch everything you do. It was not just phone calls, Google, and then other corporations too.
Mhm.
I can't remember what the worst thing was, but anyway, so Rand Paul was threatening a filibuster. He didn't do it, and they passed it, and now we have total NSA surveillance.
So basically, nothing.
Some more.
Nothing. Yeah, some more. Nothing's changed. Nothing's going to change. It's already instated.
They might have changed the one thing that made it worse somehow. And I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
that.
Because there was a continuance or something like that, or not a continuance. There was an add-on.
There was, it was an add-on to allow more spying, and what's fucked up is that local governments and police forces are using some of this data to.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Lock your doors. Make sure your grow rooms are locked up tight. For all you people that are blessed enough to be in a state that allows that.
Sure.
For the meantime.
And if you're not, just go underground.
Yeah, go underground. Grow it in your local parks in the woods.
Move to a different state.
Grow it in your grandma's house. Nobody will suspect her.
I used to grow at an old dude's house that like this old, I was actually a caretaker for because he was crippled, and a lot of people didn't suspect that. Except for one time.
Except for one time.
I had
That's all
like
you need.
I had like a pound or whatever on the kitchen table, which is about 4 feet from the front door, and
wow.
the cops come knocking on the door for something completely unrelated.
Yeah.
Just like literally right around the corner, there's like a pound of wet weed just hanging out, stinking up the place like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, you're gonna have that.
And I mean, we were licensed or whatever, so it wouldn't have mattered. And they definitely smelled it.
They just didn't say shit.
They didn't say shit because they were there for something else.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they know the law too.
Hopefully, I've been in jail with a license before on possession charges.
Okay. Back to this little clip that I have.
Sorry.
So they get right into it. They say the name of the bill and then don't go over anything about it. And this is CNN. Every time they put out a video, they have a chance to put out a quality product. And I don't see anybody in there doing checks on this, like, oh, this is a quality product, because it's not. She mentions it and just goes right into tweets. Tweet, these nips.
Just happened. The bill has passed. They just passed the controversial surveillance bill that has reauthorized FISA Section 702. So you just saw that vote gaveled to a close and being announced there in the House. Let's listen.
And for other purposes. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill? Members will record their vote by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
All right, and the business continues there on the House floor. I'm going to bring in Manu Raju for the latest on this. Manu, tell us about how this all shook out.
Well, this was a mad scramble today after the president tweeted this morning.
Tell us about the bill.
About it.
Okay, I'm just going to save you right there. Nothing,
what I mean.
Nothing happens
like,
about the bill. They talk about the people in the background even. But they don't talk about the bill. They talk about people tweeting back at the president. They don't talk about the bill. That's it.
Dude, half the news day is talking about Trump or his tweets. I swear, it's unbelievable. It's hard to watch. I haven't watched news a whole lot in a while, and it's shocking again. You know, when you stop and then you watch, you're like, holy shit. I'm in the holy shit phase.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I have no idea. Yep, just a bunch of fucking tweets.
Yeah, I really do.
Nothing comes
want
out.
to see what's in that bill. Not that it's gonna help us in any way to stop the spying, but it's nice to know.
Tim and I looked up the bill. It was how many pages? 59 or something.
Yeah, 59, I think.
Yep. It just confused the fuck out of me. It was a whole bunch of lawyer talk. You know how it reads. It reads so you can't read it.
Sometimes I'm getting pretty good at reading those bills and things.
Yeah, you'd be better than me. So let's go to I want to talk about hit that Me Too.
Hashtag Me Too report.
She grabbed my dick. I love that. Ivanka Trump. She's talking about has she
been touched?
No, of course. This is a tweet.
Oh,
so
more
this is where
tweets.
news comes from. Ivanka Trump tweeted, and here's George
Snapanopolis.
Apple
Snuffleupagus.
Apple Bipopolamus.
And so you want to switch gears now and pick up on that Oprah boomlet. Kind of got kicked off at the Golden Globes the other day. Possible talk about a run in 2020. What was the reaction at the White House?
Well, we don't actually know whether the president saw Oprah's speech. We know his daughter did. Take a look, George. She's tweeting overnight. Just saw Oprah's empowering and inspiring speech at last night's Golden Globes. Let's all come together, women and men, and say time's up, united. As you can imagine, this got quite a response online. People like Alyssa Milano saying, hey, Ivanka Trump, you can donate to the Time's Up movement if you want to help support people like your own father's accusers. So got a little rough online for Ivanka overnight. Now, in the late 90s, Donald Trump was asked who he would choose as a running mate if he decided to run for office. He named Oprah. And then, George, you know that interview you had with him, his sit down on the day he announced his candidacy for this office. He said, I like Oprah. So we will see. The official line from the White House is, we welcome all challengers.
And of course,
taking on all bums
for themselves as well. Meantime,
I'm George
in Washington right now. The Republican Democrats going to sit down again today, trying to avoid this government shutdown that could hit later this month.
All right,
January
and then
9th.
they're on to a different subject. So she has a very pleasant tweet, about, I'm standing with Oprah, I'm standing with you guys. And then people chime in.
Fuck your dad.
So, okay, so this is the news. She makes a tweet, and their snide remark back on air is, you know what? Your dad's a bitch. Your dad's a rapist pig. Take away those big names, all right? So there's a girl who has a dad, but she is innocent of all charges, innocent of everything. She's an innocent person, and her dad's a rapist.
But he's not.
Oh no,
we know of.
Her dad's an alleged
pussy grabber.
Pussy grabber, alleged legal pussy grabbing guy, and and people call you and tell you that your dad's a rapist. I mean, that's not like girls bonding together. How is that? Just take away the big names. That'd be fucked up to do to a girl. If my dad raped somebody, I don't want to get killed.
Did you notice? Well, I saw the hypocrisy of some of these chicks that were wearing these black dresses that were like half of a dress and their bodies like hanging out of it. Just protesting sexual harassment while they're half naked. I thought that was kind of a funny hypocrisy.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I just seen Oprah's speech, and I really didn't retain any of that information.
So what you're saying is Ivanka is a sexual harasser, and she shouldn't tweet about sexual harassment?
No, they're saying.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know, but that's kind of what they're alluding to.
I'm just surprised that again
they're conflating. I guess is the word.
This makes it as news, and they're throwing digs at Ivanka.
That's the news. That's the news these days. Yeah. We're living in awesome news
Breaking
times.
news. There's been a tweet. Alright.
A Trump tweet or a Trump daughter tweet, or if that doesn't happen, somebody tweeting at Trump.
Alright, speaking of foreigners, actually, that segue doesn't make sense.
He's a foreigner.
Well, we were talking. Yeah, he is. It's Mr. Julian Assange is granted citizenship in Ecuador. Yeah, I'll let the story tell it better than I can.
Ecuador has confirmed that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has become a citizen of the country. Its foreign minister said she was seeking a dignified solution to his situation with Britain, who earlier refused a request by Ecuador to give him diplomatic status. Assange has been holed up for more than 5 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. He was granted asylum there in 2012 to avoid extradition to Sweden over rape allegations.
He grabbed my dick, bro.
Ecuador said they feared threats to Assange's life coming from third-party states.
He was like the original hashtag #MeToo a couple years ago. That was kind of big news.
Yeah. He looks kind of creepy.
Sure, yeah, I love him though. He did a wonderful service to everybody in the world by starting WikiLeaks and releasing all that shit. There was one of the WikiLeaks founders just committed suicide supposedly this week, I think it was.
Oh yeah?
The second one to do that. There was like 2 of them that just, like helped with the programming or something of it, and then they're both dead of suicide, or at least one of them of suicide. The other one's dead. Both in their 30s or way too young to die of natural causes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good for him. I hope he gets there and can avoid being arrested and put in prison for the next lifetime. Speaking of people in prison for lifetime, I've got two stories of people who put their ass on the line. One is this guy Ross Ulbricht. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I haven't.
You ever heard of the Silk Road?
Yeah.
So you could like buy drugs or whatever you wanted online. Yeah, I don't think they allowed guns, but maybe they did. You could buy prostitutes. You could buy a pair of socks, probably. But the guy that started that, he's currently serving 3 life sentences, and I just wanted to mention him so people didn't forget. There's still like a free Ross movement that his mom has put up and stuff, because all he did is he hosted this website where people could link up together like eBay. It was basically set up like eBay.
Yeah.
And
they're saying he knew what was going on and he let it go on.
Oh, sure he did. But you know who else ran that thing? The FBI ran it for like months, and nobody
Of course,
knew.
they probably
They're just
helped
as
him set
guilty.
it up.
They're just as guilty. They might have set up the second one.
It's like the Fast and Furious type of shit.
The FBI agents, also stole like $40,000 from the website in Bitcoin, I think.
Of course, why not?
I think they got charged for that.
Really?
And then
that doesn't throw out the whole case?
no, apparently not.
That Mark Furman paradox. Yeah.
It was probably something they weren't allowed to mention in the trial or something.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring him up just because that dude shouldn't be in prison, and he's going to be for the rest of his life probably. And then the other people is this Bundy family, the Bundy Ranch standoff that happened years back.
Yeah, I've seen that.
These guys, the old dude Bundy, Cliven Bundy, and then
there's a lot of good pictures and footage from that standoff.
Oh man, that was incredible. I was watching the live streams from that and just like getting
all the
chills.
People on horses.
Yeah, and then the people come up on horses to get their cattle back from the BLM, and they're waving the flag, and I was like, man, I felt like a true patriot, watching that. And I'm like, these fucking cowboys are out there getting their shit back, standing up to all these dudes with machine guns.
Yep.
And they're like winning it because they got the numbers. It was like straight out of V for Vendetta or something.
Yeah, you got the numbers. And the thing is, if you don't, and it was just open ground, so like there's no stuff to hide behind except what you park. So
anyway,
I think that added to the the terrain added to it.
The cinematic
and the
drama.
possibility of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
You can line up on this huge battlefield and see the numbers of people.
And all it would have taken was people just pushing their trigger buttons, their
Yeah.
trigger fingers, their triggers.
And then it would have. Oh my God! What do you think would have happened? Because obviously everybody that can be there is there.
It would have been nuts because so many patriots and people would have done something about something. It would have been. We'd be living in a different world, I think. But anyway, they got their trial dismissed. They sat in prison for 700 days, which is not a speedy trial. That sounds illegal.
The 700 days sounds a lot like 2 years.
Yeah, and the judge, who wasn't really a great judge for them, wasn't sympathetic. She did a couple things that they weren't allowed to talk about certain types of evidence, but so it was dismissed on, what do they call it? Dismissed with prejudice, which means they can't be retried due to flagrant misconduct by prosecutors and the FBI in disclosing evidence before and during the trial. So you're supposed to disclose the evidence you have against the defendant, and the defendant's supposed to know about it. So they had evidence they were using in trial, and the defense didn't even know they were going to bring it up.
Keep that right there. So I'm a lawyer, you're a lawyer, you have evidence, I have evidence. We have to exchange our evidence with one of each
during the trial or before the trial, if you can.
This is what I got, and this is what I'm bringing. So you have time to write a statement trying to rebut whatever you think I'm going to say about it.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Go ahead, please.
Anyway, it's good news to me. I watched their standoff in Oregon too. Some of the guys from like the Bundy crew or whatever went up and took over a building up in Oregon where there was some feds trying to take the land away from some people.
Yeah.
And
it's not his first run-in with the law that time.
I didn't know that. But anyway, one of the sons, I think it was a son-in-law, he ended up getting, there was a roadblock, and he got out of the car, and he was shot to death. And really kind of over, not a whole lot, except that these people were kind of saying things that the feds don't like you to say. He was going to they were on their way to a speech, to have a big speech in front of this other like county courthouse, or where the public would come and talk to him. And this is an old clip, but I just wanted to remind people of what happened to the son-in-law.
What? So they were going to a speech, but why was there a roadblock?
Because they wanted to arrest them.
Because they had a warrant.
Because they were part of the people that were that overtook the that federal building.
Oh, so there was warrants.
I'd imagine. Yeah, they wanted to arrest them, and they had definitely cause to, but
and these people weren't going to stand for it. So, I think the video starts with them in the car after they pulled over.
Yeah, this is them in the car after they hit the snow next to the roadblock.
Yeah, so the roadblock is set up, and they go into the ditch to the left of the roadblock. So it sort of looked like they're part of the roadblock after this. And then this happened.
Go ahead and shoot me. I'm not turning off the vehicle.
He didn't want them to shoot the vehicle, so he got out.
Boy, come. I'm going to go meet the people in Daytown, in Grant County. You want to shoot me? You shoot me. I'm going to meet the sheriff. The sheriff is waiting for us. So you do as you damn well please. But I'm not going anywhere. Here I am, right there. Right there, put a bullet through it. You understand? I'm going to go meet the sheriff. You back down or you kill me now. Go ahead, put the bullet through me. I don't care. I'm going to go meet the sheriff. You do as you damn well please. Well, I'm going to ask them if they want to go out.
He has a kid, and at least one kid and a woman in the car.
Who are you? Yeah, who are you? Who are you?
Okay, they're shooting at us. They got lasers still on us. Lavoy got out. I think they've killed Lavoy. They just shot gas rounds into the car. We're hunkered down in here trying not to get shot. Shooting more gas rounds in. The gas is getting pretty thick in here.
This guy's buddy just got shot, and he's calm as hell. It's weird.
Anyway, yeah, they'll shoot you. Anyway.
So
fuck that.
So anyway, that guy got killed, but everybody else has
What a
got
crazy situation.
The Bundys got released, and something will happen out of that movement, I think, eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was worth it. I don't know if I would have done that. I don't know. I think I would have. Yeah, I definitely would have had I wouldn't have had my woman and my child with me.
Yeah, their whole family, that
But you
seemed
leave-
kind of risky. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But
They're pretty hardcore, though, those people.
pretty fucking American.
That guy was willing to get shot. And he did.
And it all got thrown out.
At least for the Bundys. And I think there might be some like journalists, some other people that are still have charges, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it.
And the trial that they just got released for, I think, was just for the Nevada standoff. I don't think the Oregon one had anything to do with this dismissed charges. Our trial. But anyway, I just thought I would bring those up because it's good to remember some of these things that have happened. And sometimes people don't actually get out of prison, and then people forget about them.
Yeah. Well, guess who else was accused of the hashtag Me Too?
Oh, come on. Who is it?
It was Stan Lee.
I don't know who that is.
He's a comic book writer. Did Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
And all those things. The Hulk. I think X-Men too. So I guess he was showing people his mini Iron Man.
Time now, and it's now hitting Marvel Comics legend Stan Lee. He's 95 years old, and at that age, he needs nurses to care for him at his home. And now some of those nurses have accused him of groping them and asking for sexual favors. Sexual harassment is appalling, of course. On the other hand, this is a man who is already 50 years old when the term sexual harassment was first coined. Arguing a helpless elderly man like that does seem like preying on the weak, not protecting them. So what are we to make of this? Ashley Pratt is a contributor to U.S. News and World Report, and she joins us tonight. Ashley, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
This is one of those rare cases where, and I don't know the truth of it, and I don't want to pretend that I do, but it wouldn't surprise me if it were true, because the elderly, for a bunch of physical reasons, sometimes do say inappropriate things related to sex. I mean, they do. This is actually a well-known phenomenon, and I think most nurses who care for the elderly are very aware of this. So given that, it seems a little strange to hear charges against, this presented as charges against a guy when it's actually kind of common.
Well, at the same time, though, we have to, take this a little seriously and realize that
No, you
when these
don't.
allegations
He's
are coming out,
95
there needs to be an
fucking years
investigative
old.
process to them. We can't just go out there defaming people. And I think that that's one of the biggest issues that I have currently with the Me Too movement. It's doing a lot of great things, but it's also allowing a platform for defamation to happen. And in this case, if these allegations are true, then it should be brought in a legal suit, and then these should be examined for what they are. And if he was groping people and he was exposing himself and doing all of these things that they're alleging, then of course that is despicable behavior. But if in fact, it's just jokes and whatnot, that we can determine what those, issues are there. But I'm someone who, I worked on a campaign with all men, multiple.
Bring him into court.
I
95.
I don't think you're allowed to have dementia anymore.
Apparently not.
You're not allowed.
The guy's probably
to
out of
suffer
his
from
mind.
debilitating
at 95.
diseases.
Out of his mind. So like if he says some weird shit on his deathbed, are they gonna be like, Stanley called someone?
Somebody with Down syndrome came into the bathroom where I was at the other day. They had a seizure and their pants fell down, and I seen their big old retarded dick, and I was like, he flashed me. I was like, hashtag me too. Somebody lock up this retard.
At what age is it okay to start saying
all
all sorts
and
of
here we
shit?
go. Dick of the week, Down syndrome dick. I believe that it probably has a skinny base, and it looks like a teardrop where it gets bigger the further down it goes, with a huge, massive head and a stretchy base.
Like Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah, like it looks like its head's too big for its body, and its eyes are far apart. Yeah, and it has two pee holes, and it kind of looks like Down syndrome eyes with a corresponding large penile forehead.
I think this is the second time we've talked about retard penis
Yeah.
on this
And
podcast
when
show.
when he gets a boner, he goes, "Yay!" So yeah. So Stanley has dementia, and he grabbed a girl's ass. Should we lock him up? Yes or no? Huh? Social justice warrior.
At 95.
I'm gonna have to
Fuck
be the.
no.
I'm gonna have to be the social. I say lock him up.
Why? He's 95. What's that going to
He
do?
must be held accountable. He's a white man in power. Right?
He's 95. That's all I got to say. He's 95.
He's clearly in his right mind. He's
At a
making-
certain point, you get a pass.
He
And
makes all those movies. He shouldn't get a pass. He's
what
a
age?
white
At what
man.
age do you get a pass for just about
You
anything?
never get a pass.
Never ever until you're
Mhm.
dead.
That's why women are going to take over. Because you can't even articulate an argument against me.
I guess not. I guess my debate class didn't
They're
pay
his
off.
nurses. And, by the way, they look very Mexicano.
So what would they get? Just
Yo,
get some of
I
his
know
money?
Some shady bitches. I've heard my aunts talk to each other, and I'm like, oh, goddamn, y'all are shady. Especially if one of them wants to leave a man, and they start talking about
God,
what they
yeah.
can do to him. You imagine 4 to 7 women talking about, here's what we do. First, we flip his world on his head. We call his boss and tell him that he's doing drugs on the job. Get him fired. All right. Then we call the friend of the court, and first we get a jump start on him. We already lawyered up. You know, they plan horrific things. Oh, and put the listening devices over here, and we're gonna tape his phone calls, and we're gonna write down everything he says. Like women.
I think in general they're better at being deceptive as well as like getting revenge. I think they're
Mhm.
better at those things.
Mhm.
Men are probably better at like physically hurting people, but I mean obviously they are. But
Yeah. I mean, I gotta
But-
argue that.
I just can't trust.
My cousin is a
devious woman.
bodybuilder, and I guarantee you, is she can work out for 2 years straight, and I could take fucking 2 years off and beat her in arm wrestling because I'm just so fucking strong.
I'd like to see that.
Her arms are huge, though.
Yeah, prove yourself.
I will. I asked her if she wanted to arm wrestle, and she said no.
Next show,
Next show, okay.
arm wrestling.
Oh, I thought you meant next clip. So yeah, Stanley, groping titties,
Yeah,
showing his dick.
I wasn't gonna bring up the dick of the week
You
this
want to
week,
see
but
my Wolverine? It's probably Stan Lee's dick.
I figured if it came up organically, then
Stan Lee's dick is in costume at all times, and it's in a different costume of somebody he's created. That's Stan Lee's dick.
really veiny and muscly, like a superhero.
No, you can't see it because it's got a full body costume. He's like, today my dick is Deadpool. You know, it's
Well-
got like a sash.
I guess
Whatever.
Iron Man.
Or however Deadpool is dressed.
I don't know. A lot of the X-Men,
Motherfucker with a cape on top.
a lot of the X-Men are not fully suited up. You know, they're wearing like freaking G-strings
I
and
don't
stuff.
think any of them have a sash.
I know. Well, Wolverine, he probably puts little arms on it that hang down. So when he gets the boner, he's like, ah.
He's got a dangerous wiener. I wouldn't go near that one.
Want to see my Hulk? I'm gonna Hulk out for you.
All right?
Why is it green? I'm on 18 medications, darling. You gonna suck this dick or not? I'm famous.
Too much ibuprofen.
Yeah. It's got too much.
That's how you bring the Hulk down. You just start feeding him ibuprofen.
James Franco has got to be the first handsome man to be came out with the hashtag Me Too movement, and he looks fucking furious. He was on Seth Meyers and Stephen Colbert, and he looks like he's biting his tongue the whole time. And I guarantee you, like,
Good. I like that guy.
he's got some fucking. He's done some bitching about this, and the female that put the tweet up took it down. So I like him too, and he's accused of having girls, paying girls. He owned an acting class or something like that,
Sure.
and he would pay girls to be in roles, amateur actresses. And there was a couple that he paid $100 to be nude in a role.
Okay. That's it, dude. That is fucking
Well,
nothing. People get paid $50 to be nude in art class at LCC right now.
Yeah. So
What the hell?
and another thing, I guess he was accused of grabbing a girl's head and pushing it toward his penis.
For
So
like the scene.
I have no idea in which context it happened, but he's sort of walking a tightrope because he doesn't want to be mean to the girl that tweeted the stuff about him, and he wants to be supportive of the movement, and he doesn't want to be guilty.
Of course, yeah.
So it's a fucking tightrope that he walks, and I can clearly, if you know anything about body language, you can see that his chest starts inflating when the question's being asked, and he's getting ready from it, and he's just totally uncomfortable. It's worth the watch.
First, I want to say I work because I do support it. I was
Looks like Elvis.
Look, I was so excited to win, but being in that room that night was incredible. I mean, it was powerful, and there were incredible voices, and I support it. I support change. I support 50-50 in 2020, which just means, people that are underrepresented, women and people of color, people in the LGBT community get, positions, leadership positions that they fill all positions that they've been deprived of. I completely believe
Stumbling.
That's why I wore it. There were some things on Twitter
Today.
Yeah, I haven't read them. I've heard about them. Okay, first of all, I have no idea what I did to
He
Ali
read
Sheedy.
them.
I directed her in a play off Broadway. I had nothing but a great time with her. Total respect for her. I have no idea why she was upset. She took the tweet down. I don't know. I can't speak for her. I don't know. The others, look, in my life, I
done a lot of
pride
weird shit
myself on taking responsibility for things that I've done. I have to do that to maintain my well-being. I do it whenever I know that there's something wrong or needs to be changed. I make it a point to do it. The things that I heard that were on Twitter are not accurate, but I completely support people coming out and being able to have a voice because they didn't have a voice for so long. So I don't want to, shut them down in any way. It's I think a good thing, and I support it.
Well, is there something else that you think, some way to have this discussion that isn't in social media? Is there some way to have this conversation that piggybacks on what's happening in social media? Because when accusations happen, because for so long accusations were not believed, when accusations happen that in your case you say that this is not an accurate thing for me, do you have any idea what the answer might be to come to some sense of what the truth is so there can be some sort of reconciliation between people who clearly have different views of things? I mean, it's a big question, but I don't know how to leave or to further this discussion.
I mean, like I said, if I can't, the way I live my life, I can't live if there's restitution to be made. I will make it. So if I've done something wrong, I will fix it. I have to. I mean, I think that's how that works. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do. I mean, as far as the bigger issues, how we do it. I really don't have the answers, and I think the point of this whole thing is that we listened. There were
trying to make himself small.
Incredible people talking that night. They had a lot to say, and I'm here to listen and learn and change my perspective where it's off. And I'm completely willing, and I want to.
Well, thank you for taking a moment to talk about it right now. Congratulations again.
Do you think somebody advised him on a lot of that and coached him through?
Oh yeah,
through that?
yeah. Because basically he just said the same exact thing on the other interview that I seen him on.
He was like stumbling and pretty nervous.
Yep. So watch out, folks. Anytime that you ever hung out with a girl, you're gonna go to jail for it. That's for sure. Don't
I
ever
hope
tell your
that's
mom
not
you
true.
love her, because she will call the cops on you, like coming on to me. My son was being a chauvinist pig to me. He told me that he was hungry and that he loved me. And he wanted me to put him to bed.
At a certain point, things have to start, like, the pendulum needs to swing in the reverse direction at some point, but I wonder how far this could go. And not just everybody in general, but, like, there's probably some people that are gonna take this to all the way to the loony bin.
Yep. If you hate anybody, just accuse them of sexual harassment. And yeah,
Or
that's pretty
swat
much it.
them,
Or
or
swat them. There's so many ways to get at people these
Yeah.
days.
just, put it on our Twitter feed and everybody will read it.
Yeah. Give out the information, will you?
Yes, sir.
Tweet at us at Idiocracy Now at Idiocracy Now. 1.
We also have an email.
idiocracynow@startmail.com.
That's
Leave a negative comment.
I dare you.
It's idiocracynow@startmail.com.
All right, and I promise, I'm definitely going to go more in depth to these Twitter followers that we so cherish.
For sure.
I'm going to get that right. I'm going to put out more content whenever I can, and I'm going to figure it out.
We also have
Try to be
we do
more
have
useful.
a Bitcoin donate button and a Patreon donate button at idiocracynow.net.
Yeah, if you
which
find
is-
value in this,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
And that links to everything. If you just like listening to stuff on audio, we're on iTunes, and the idiocracy.net just has audio feeds as well as video. That links to our YouTube, to our Twitter. It's becoming a web of Idiocracy Now stuff.
And I'd like to thank again c.w.copacetic_Sydney.
What's up, girl?
Thanks for liking us on the tweets. And the Weed Man 454822126, collection of all weed memes, art, and whatever else the fuck he wants. Why? Because fuck you. That's why.
What's up, weed man?
What's up, buddy? I'm smoking right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of a weed man myself.
Yeah, speaking of that, I'm going to take a picture of, you think I could do that?
It's
It
up to
wouldn't-
you. It's up to
probably
you.
wouldn't pertain to anything, but it'd just be cool to look at.
Some plants.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to see plants.
Yeah. I think so,
Especially
too.
cops.
Cops, right? Yeah.
They love them.
But, fuck. God damn it. Now you got me all scared. Never mind.
That's all right, dude. We're screwed if cops are listening to this. We're going straight to jail.
I'm not going to do this.
Straight to #MeToo land for all the
Yes.
retards out there.
Yeah. I still think that if you can accuse Stan Lee or charge him with that shit, you should be able to charge a mentally handicapped person with sexual harassment.
Well, you might be able to.
Maybe you can.
I don't
Maybe
know.
you can. Maybe that's why Texas got in trouble for executing mentally handicapped people. I guess you can murder somebody and be a handicapped and get it. That's weird.
That state by state, maybe. Yeah, I got really scared about this whole autism thing. You know how they say autism is on the rise, which it is. It's like
I'm on the spectrum.
1 in 52 or whatever. I think I would have been as a child. Like when I watch videos of myself, I'm just like looking at the camera, not responding. They're like, hey, Carter. And I'm like, just looking at him like, what the fuck are you asking me this for? I'm like, did I
freaking-
even talk as a kid?
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
And now there's 3 cameras on us right now. This one, this camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Fuck you, camera 2, camera 3.
What was I just talking about?
Being a little kid and enamored with your parents.
No,
videotaping you.
autism. Yeah, no, I started to get really worried. And I've been around autistic people before. I had a roommate who worked at an autistic adult home, and he would bring like 4 of them to our house sometimes, and they would just like stand there. They didn't talk. They'd just like piss their pants and grunt and stuff.
Oh, dude.
But I really got worried when I saw this one kid that he pulled his pants down in Burger King and starts playing with himself. I'm like, oh man, this world is gonna be hard to get through your day if they're everywhere.
He showed you his chicken nugget.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. One time, I was in juvie, and we used to have to walk mentally handicapped kids on horses. And
I don't know why that sounds so funny.
it kind of sucked. So they gave us a tour of the building, one of the days where it was raining really bad, and we went around to each classrooms, and there was just like different levels of fucked up. Like first you had like your almost normal kids, and then you had your like kids that were like hard to keep in the seats, and like the whole classroom was just a bunch of sit down. But they all had crayons. They couldn't have like sharp things in there.
So your peers?
Yeah, and then I was in level 2, but then there was level 3. Level 3 was kind of scary. Level 3 was just people fixed to chairs, right? All different kinds of chairs.
Like Hannibal style?
Yeah, all different types of chairs because there's all different types of ailments. They had them all. And then in the center was the craziest looking kid that you've ever seen in your life. All right. So you imagine this kid trapped to a chair, and he's missing fingers.
Oh, God.
Lots of them. And different.
Did he eat them?
Wait. He's missing lips. He has no lips. He has no fingers. He has half a tongue that comes to like a point like Rachel Maddow's penis.
Oh, my
So
God.
just picture Fire Marshal Bill. Like, let me show you something. That guy. And he's got blow up floaties on his arms. But they're
Why?
listen, they're like 2 feet long. So he can't bend his hands to his mouth because he'll eat his hand. So it's just they make it so you can bend just a little bit, but not all the way up to his mouth. So they bring us in there. Okay. Oh my God, it's so gross. He's got snot rolling down his nose, and this lady's feeding him with like gardener gloves, right? She's got fucking gardener gloves on, and there's an orange spoon that's about 18 inches long, so she can feed him without getting too close to this fucking Walking Dead zombie like disabled person. This motherfucker is willing to eat himself at any moment and anybody that comes near him. And they just keep him alive, right? They keep him alive because he would eat himself to death. He would eat his arms and veins until he would bleed out. This guy would be dead. He was supposed to be dead a long time ago. But there he is, and there I am. Snot running down his nose, no lips, tongue bit off to where they don't even need to restrict that anymore. He can't get any more of it into his fucking big teeth. And it was the scariest thing. And they were feeding him Cheerios on a big, long spoon.
They couldn't just throw him into his mouth.
No, seriously. He just he was like biting at the air. It was horrible. It was horrifying. I have dreams. I still don't know if he could walk. Because if he could walk,
oh my
and he was coming at you, eating himself, that'd be so horrible.
Talk about a guy I'd like to trip with.
Yeah. So I have fear of this man. And he's probably, oh my God, probably got a huge dick. Because it happens. And the disabled people, they got huge dicks and a fucking set of chompers on them, man. Oh my God.
I really am just thinking about what that would be like to trip around that guy.
No, it would be really bad.
It's like this cow in Nebraska that has 2 faces. And just my buddy he ate some acid and went to see it, and he couldn't get over how it just kept licking its nose over and over.
That's fucked up situation.
Anyway, what good thoughts on this
So
show today.
anyway, Bob the Amish workhorse, which is I used to put the kids up on Bob and walk them around in a circle one time. He was back in the stable.
Okay, I thought you were on the horse and they were on the ground, and you were just kind of walking them like a.
No. Go on, kid. No, they were up on the horse. I had to walk beside him. It was the other way around. They gave us horses because we had to walk those motherfuckers.
Well, you never know when you gotta run away from a kid who's trying to eat you.
So we had to go into the stables, and it was the end of the trip, right, or the end of our community service when I was in juvie. So we went there early one time, and we had to like brush the horses and clean the stables. And at the end of the day, they were gonna give us like candy and cookies and pop and let us go on a horse ride. But me and my friend Sean, who were court ordered not to speak to each other for some reason, got paired up, and we found ourselves by ourselves, right? For the first time, and it was like 9 months, unsupervised in this barn. And it was a big barn. I mean, the exits were blocked by guards, but it was
Like a pole barn or a wooden barn?
but we were alone and nobody could see us. It was like a massive pole barn because it had like a barrel arena where horses could race inside. So you got to understand like the span of this place.
Big horse barn or
It's a
something,
big barn, and we found ourselves alone, and we had a bushel of apples to feed some of the horses, and we had to carry in all the cookies that we were gonna have. We stopped by our favorite horse, Bob, the Amish workhorse. He was the shortest, hairiest, calmest horse there was, and we fed him a whole fucking box of Oreo cookies.
Could probably handle it.
Yeah. Well, fast forward about an hour, and they're like, "Chris, you want to ride your favorite?" Chris is gonna ride Bob, so I'm on Bob. Bob, the Amish workhorse, who I just gave 3 full rolls of fucking double stuffed Oreos.
Are Amish allowed to eat Oreos? Probably. They can do whatever they want.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
this motherfucker took off as soon as you kicked him. He took off, and my saddle wasn't tightened down all the way, and I ended up falling off Bob, and he didn't come back for like a while. Like he was just running, just being crazy. He had to run out those cookies, I guess, but it was funny.
just so excited and
it-
sugared up.
Yeah, it was and so we had to put the cookies in a bowl afterwards. So we nobody ever said, "Oh, that looks like there's a pack of cookies missing out of 7 or something." But yeah, Bob got 1 pack of that and a bunch of apples.
You know what job I hope I never have?
Huh?
Is those adults that had to hang out with all you guys. It sounds horrible.
Oh my God, I got arrested by one of those guys. One time, me and my mom got pulled over in East Lansing, MSU campus, and she was taking me to a party out there, and I had some stinky ass weed before medical marijuana was instated, and so did she. And, no. He pulled me over. He goes, "Hey, Chris Redmond." He goes, "You remember me?" And I was like, "No, I don't." He was like, "Yeah, I was one of your guides in juvie." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't." Oh, Jay, hey, how are you? And then he took me to jail, and then I paid $25 for me to get out. I paid $25 for my mom to get out, and there was some guy that was there for
You
weed.
weren't kidding about your mom?
No. My mom was there. She was crying. It was horrible.
Was
time
it in
for her.
East Lansing's pretty light, or they used to be the
Yeah,
ones
it
that
was
were really
really
light
light.
on people for that?
That's for another story. But yeah, and then there was another guy in there that had got caught with weed that didn't have the $25 to get out, and I bailed him out too. And I was like, "We're all getting out," and that's how that happened. And yeah,
I've been in that jail. That was my DUI about 6 years ago.
got punched by an elderly lady. I walked behind her, and she used to work in the prisons, and she's like, "You never walk behind me." And that's it. I got a bloody lip from an old lady. I probably could have filed charges if I had a dad that was a lawyer.
Hell yeah.
But you never. But yeah, that's all I got. And yeah, we talked about the Twitter followers and anything else you got?
I'm going to hold off on the Rogan prayer today.
Cool.
So I think we're good.
We're gonna try to do some new stuff for you, more content, better content.
Did we ever switch to our studio, or have we been on the moon this whole time?
Oh yeah, let's switch it. 1, 2, 3. This place is fucking huge. We can put a stripper pole over here. Couches around it.
You're paying the rent, right?
Yeah, I'll pay the rent.
Okay.
I got whores that run the streets for me, and they pay Dad their money. Otherwise, I beat them. Hashtag them too.
All right, want to shut this down?
Shut it down.
All right, we'll see you guys hopefully in about a week or less.
Peace.
See you.